Nice. Lovely when it's peaceful. On your learning depends the welfare of the world. And it is only egoic arrogance that would deny the power of your will. Think you the will of God is powerless? Is this humility? You don't see what this egoic belief that would deny the power of your will has done? Actually, it wasn't a question, it's a statement. You do not see what this egoic belief that would deny the power of your will has done. You see yourself as vulnerable, frail, easily destroyed, and at the mercy of countless attackers more powerful than you. Let us look straight at this egoic error of the denial of the power of your will came about. For here lies buried the heavy anchor that seems to keep the fear of God in place, immovable and solid as a rock. While this egoic error of the denial of the power of your will remains, so will your will's powerlessness seem to be.
We must relearn the truth about ourselves. We're an extension of the mind of God. All the power of God is granted to the sonship, for we are all one with God. Our power to create comes from following God's will, which is our true will. When we see ourselves as something other than a co-creator with God's will, we deny our creative ability. We make when we follow egoic belief systems that claims we are limited ego bodies. Our little s self can do nothing but make up illusions. Yet through our big S self, our higher self, the Christ, God does everything. This is the acknowledgement that the Christ is the home of God and the seat of all power.
Who can attack the Son of God and not attack his Father? How can God's Son be weak and frail and easily destroyed unless his Father is also weak? You don't see that every sin and every condemnation that you perceive and justify is an attack upon your Father. And that is why sin has not happened, nor could sin be real, since the Father is not weak. You don't see that this egoic belief in the Son's weak and sinful nature is your ego's attempt to make the separation appear real because you think the Father and the Son are separate. And you must think that the Father and the Son are separate because of fear. If you have fear, that's what you think. For it seems safer to attack another or yourself than to attack the great creator of the universe, whose power you know.
The ego realizes that the ego's thought system rests on the belief that separation is real. This is the only way that the sonship could ever have usurped the will of God, or pretended to usurp the will of God, which is exactly what we did. It knows it's built on a house. It's built a house of cards on shifting sand. That's why the ego is so fragile. The ego also states that we are separate from our brothers. The body is proof that this illusion is real. See my little fleshy body over here? Since we believe that we're a limited ego body in competition with other ego bodies, it makes sense that we are justified in attacking and stealing from our brother in order to survive. It's easier to believe that we can defeat and take from our brother than to take from God. The ego tells us that an attack on our brother is not an attack on God, since each is a separate entity. ACIM points out that since the separation never happened, there remains only the oneness, and thus to attack any part of the oneness is to attack the whole.
If you were one with God and recognized this oneness, you would know his power is your power. But you will not remember this oneness and joint power with God while you believe attack of any kind means anything. Attack is unjustified in any form because attack has no meaning. The only way attack could be justified is if you and your brother were separate from the other and all were separate from the Creator. For only then would it be possible to attack a part of the creation without the whole, the Son without the Father, and to attack another without yourself or hurt yourself without the other feeling pain. I know I finished reading that, but I'm not sure what I read. I want to read.
For only then would it be possible to attack part of the creation without attacking the whole creation, the Son without the Father, and to attack another without yourself or hurt yourself without the other feeling pain. It's giving three examples of different ways where you're trying to basically cut yourself and imagine that you don't feel any pain. It's such a silly thing to try and understand in the first place. The sentence couldn't possibly make sense after you finish reading it.
And this belief that the separation of the oneness into individualized parts is real is what you want. Yet wherein lies this belief's value, except in the desire to attack an individual part in safety? Attack is neither safe nor dangerous. Attack is impossible. An attack is impossible because the universe is one. You would not choose attack on the oneness of each part's reality if it were not essential to attack to see each part separated from its maker. And thus, due to the egoic belief in separation, it seems as if love could attack and become fearful. Sometimes it's really hard to read this out loud because
It is.
certain arguments that we accept, it makes it so clear how silly they are.
I know.
You say,
It's like arguing, no, these are the details of the dream that I'm having. So my details have to be correct. And everybody claiming that their nightmares are real. No, mine are real. My nightmares are real nightmares. But nobody else can participate in them.
George Carlin. In fact, my nightmares are worse than any nightmares you might have.
That's right. They throw you out of bed sometimes.
That's right. Or at least check under the bed.
If we realize that we are the oneness of everything, we would realize that there is nothing to attack. The laws of God state that the whole cannot be subdivided into separate parts. It's like trying to use a knife to cut a glass of water, cut the water up into little sections so that you can take out a drink piece. The mind of God is holographic.
If you put it in the freezer.
Yes, it would. But then we wouldn't call it water, we'd call it ice. The mind of God is holographic in nature. Each part contains the whole. It's not this three-dimensional thing that we exist in. It's a different kind of thing. The egoic world of perception, however, focuses on form. In the world of form, which is but an illusion, each part is less than the whole, and therefore can be separated from the whole. Believing that we are separate from the whole, each part is free to attack another part while claiming immunity from the consequence of our attack upon the whole. We believe we can attack a brother and still claim that we love the God that created the one we hate. Oh, that last sentence is wonderful. Look at that. What a great way of putting it, Tom.
Actually, both of them, believing.
Yes.
Last two sentences.
I see a glass of water with ice cubes floating in it, and those ice cubes melting, and us claiming that we're still a piece of ice and that we're separate from the rest. Speaking of Tom, there's an email from him. I'm supposed to talk with him in a couple of hours.
Right. Only the different can attack. So you conclude because you can attack, you and your brother must be different. Yet does the Holy Spirit explain this differently? Because you and your brother are not different, you cannot attack. Either position is a logical conclusion. Either position could be maintained, but never both positions.
Ah,
The only question to be answered in order to decide which must be true is whether you and your brother are different. From the position of what you egoically understand, you seem to be different with separate bodies and therefore can attack. Of the alternatives, this seems more natural and more in line with your experience based on your own belief that you are the body, and therefore it is necessary that you have that you have other experiences more in line with truth to teach you what is natural and true, which is that you are not the body, but rather joined as one unified mind.
this is heady stuff.
It's very heavy, and there's people who might listen to this at this time. We've just gone through a couple of weeks of Black Lives Matter trying
Right.
to teach us that. And it's so clear when you take this truth and apply it to that. Two minds can easily join. But when you have black against white, it's the bodies, and it has nothing to do with what's in their mind. And so, yeah, you can see it as something different from you. But minds are all joined together. We all really want peace. But the ego has us fighting, killing, doing all these things. Maybe our world will begin to understand that Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, it's all over the world right now.
Yeah.
Countries everywhere are putting up the Black Lives Matter just to remind the rest of us, because it's so clear the difference between a black body and a white body. It's that elementary.
Yes.
Harder to
It's
tell the
it's the
difference.
thing that societally we teach our children. And like you've told me 1,000 times, and like I've seen with my own children, they're colorblind. It's us who have to teach them how to hate. It's us that have to teach them to differentiate between colors and choose that there is a difference between our brothers. And here we're teaching, unlearn that which you were taught when you were young. Unlearn that there is a difference between you and your brother, because we are all one. In truth, we are all one. But since we deny that we're the dreamer of the illusion of separation, we naturally believe that we are a body form. Form can't be shared, and therefore it has to be separate. The God within us, Holy Spirit, awakens us to the fact that we're mind, and we're only dreaming. Knowing the truth, the Holy Spirit prompts us to gently awaken so we can remember the truth about ourselves as a unified thought in the mind of God. Minds being thought are joined. Minds being thought are joined. There are no private thoughts. Your ego's imaginations that you think are private are just ego's imaginations. It's not a thought in the mind, the joined mind. Those pure thoughts of love are universal and echo within your brother. Your own ego nightmares, they don't echo back into the chamber because they're an illusion inside of your own ego.
There's a million ways to say it, but the lesson is still fairly simple.
Every way I say it, I can hear my ego saying, that doesn't make any sense either.
This providing you with more experiences in line with the truth of the oneness of mind is the function of your holy relationship. For what one thinks, the other brother will experience with him. What can this mean except your mind and your brother's are one mind? Look not with fear upon this happy fact that your mind and brother's mind are joined, and think not that this joining of minds lays a heavy burden on you. For when you have accepted the joining of minds with gladness, you will realize that your relationship is a reflection of the union of the Creator and the Son. From loving minds, there is no separation. And every thought in one mind brings gladness to the other mind because they are the same mind. Joy is unlimited because each shining thought of love extends its being and creates more of itself. There is no difference anywhere in mind, for every thought is like itself.
In the holy relationship, we look past the bodily forms and realize that minds are joined. We learn the truth about ourselves when we experience the joining of two apparently separate minds into the one mind. That's the experience of becoming one within a holy relationship. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The Holy Spirit uses the holy relationship as the means to teach this lesson of joining and oneness. This whole and holy experience strengthens our faith in the thought system of the Holy Spirit. This can happen to you at any moment. This is the moment when you stop and become present here in this moment. And you become whole and holy with the Holy Spirit. With the Holy Spirit's transformation of each unholy relationship into a holy relationship, we experience the relinquishing of conflict and fear and receive the inner peace of love and forgiveness. That's spectacular. Every relationship that you have that you worry might be an unholy relationship, every last one will be transformed by the Holy Spirit for you. Once you forgive yourself and allow it to happen. The more relationships we turn over to the Holy Spirit, the greater joy and peace we allow ourselves to experience in present time. Doesn't that sound lovely?
Yes.
That's where we can become right this moment. We realize we're not a body, but that our happiness can only be found by extending love and forgiveness to all. By granting forgiveness, we can receive forgiveness. This is the answer. This is it.
The light that joins you and your brother shines throughout the universe. And because the light joins you and him, so the light makes you and him one with your Creator. And in the Creator is all creation joined. Would you regret you cannot fear alone when your relationship can also teach the power of love is there, which makes all fear impossible? Do not attempt to keep a little of the ego with this gift of the holy relationship, for the holy relationship was given you to be used and not obscure. What teaches you that you cannot separate denies the ego. Let truth decide if you and your brother be different or the same, and let the holy relationship teach you which is true.
In the world of perception, that's what we see with our eyeballs, the holy relationship most clearly represents the truth of what we are. In the holy relationship, two parties realize they're already complete and also that they're not the body. Being unlimited mind or spirit, what appeared to be two separate bodily forms existing in the illusion of time and space, hey, I'm over here, are now joined as one mind to extend and experience only love and forgiveness. This is the creative process of extension. The holy relationship is the gift that the Holy Spirit can utilize to help awaken the entire sonship. The miracle is the change in perception within the mind of the perceiver, which transforms the egoic, unholy special relationship into a holy one. I'm so excited about that sentence. I read it too fast. The miracle. We're reading a book called A Course in Miracles, by the way. If you forgot, the whole thing is to be able to get you to these miraculous things, and this is it. It's the change in perception that your ego finally makes within the mind of the perceiver that transforms that egoic, unholy relationship into a holy one. The holy relationship teaches the truth about our brother and ourselves. We are all the one self within the holographic mind of God. Every piece contains the whole, just like every ocean is made up of billions and billions of drops of water. Every drop of water is still part of the ocean, and the ocean would be diminished if that drop was gone.
We don't,
God can't be diminished, though.
right. And light is the same way. Every ray of light that comes from the sun is a piece of the sun. And it's
No, a ray off the sun is not a piece of the sun. The sun is the sun. The sun is God. A ray of light leaving God is like us. We are a piece of God because we come from God. But if something comes between us and God, that ray of light goes away. It's in the shadow. And a ray of light doesn't change the sun. But nothing if we take this metaphor and we apply it to God, nothing exists outside of the sun. The sun is everything. Everything is God. We are all God because we are a piece of the whole that's God. But we're not God. We're the Holy Spirit expressing itself as a human being in a body. And that's why it's so confusing.
it's confusing, and there really isn't any ultimate metaphor to explain it, because what is, and all the rest are metaphors.
Yeah. Yep. Language will always lack. And the only way that really we've ever seen to get past that is the way the A Course in Miracles gets past it is it lays out every possible argument the ego could have that we're not unlimited spirit.
And this
It
was
lays out every possible way out, every door, every exit, and lays them all bare and says, no, that's not the truth. What you see with your eyes, what you perceive, is not true. It's your world of perception. It's not big R reality that we talk about in this book.
and another point, as some people have said, every generation has to redefine what God means to them. I think what's really fantastic right now is that even in the 1960s and 70s, when the original Course in Miracles was written, I might be wrong with this, but I'm close enough to the truth if I say we didn't have holograms then. we didn't understand what a hologram was. They were probably developing it. Some people did. Now, every one of us has, I think I said this recently on this show that we're doing, everybody has seen Princess Leia in Star Wars, and we know what the hologram is. The hologram is really one of the best metaphors that we've come up with that explains that every part is really the whole, and the whole is in every part. The hologram is an effective light. I'm not going to get into the technicalities for the simple reason I have no clue how it works. But I don't know how God works either, other than to know that God is, that I am one with God. That's all I have to know. And I can forgive. The more I forgive, the more I feel that oneness, and the more things fall into place for me. So that is the truth for today.
Namaste. I hope all goes well and you're able to spend more time in God.
Amen. And so it is.